have no idea how this works. I have been working from bed all day. It's very small, very intimate. I'm really, really bad at this, so long as I'm not attacked in my car. I think that like 90% of my happiness predictably and reliably comes from... Hello, this is Sean from the future. I'm just editing the vlog that you're about to watch. So this happened recently, the vlog did not. Basically, editing it, the footage looks shit this week. Every time I'm in the car, the sun was very low, 'cause autumn, and I'm very pale, and the camera isn't great at discerning between bright and dark, and so I just look completely overexposed for most of the footage in this vlog. It looks a bit shit. If you can bear with it and watch it, it's still fairly interesting, I think. If you can't, fair enough, I don't blame you, it's okay, there's always next week. I just wanted to say this before you watch it because this footage doesn't look great and I'm very aware of that. So, with that said, thanks for being here either way, and roll the vlog. It's Monday, the time has just gone midday, and I've just left a random petrol station on my way to Milton Keynes. So I've got a couple of things I need to sort today in Milton Keynes or near Milton Keynes. The first is, if you watched last week's episode, you would have seen that I very clumsily dropped my iPhone and smashed it again. So I'm going to take that into the Apple store in Milton Keynes and have that repaired today. Whilst that's in the Apple store, I'm then going to jump back in the car and somehow, without a sat nav, or at least without my phone, navigate myself to Newport Pagnell, where we have a meeting with a client later on this afternoon. Do that meeting, which will probably last between an hour and a half and 2 hours, then jump back in the car, go back over to Apple, pick up the phone, grab some food, and then drive home. Before I started recording today, I did a couple of hours worth of work from the house. Nothing really exciting, just a few emails and admin bits, replying to a few things that came in over the weekend or early this morning, and dealing with a couple of things that needed my attention first thing today. So that's all sorted. When I get to Milton Keynes, all being well, I'm going to be very early. I'm probably going to have another 90 minutes of wiggle room. So my plan is to drop off the phone and then get some food and do a little bit more work whilst eating before I drive over to Newport Pagnell for this meeting, so that by the time I step foot into this meeting this afternoon, everything that needs to be taken care of today has been taken care of, and I know that when that meeting ends and food and the drive home begins, the day is sorted. There's nothing I need to be rushing around for or making sure that I'm back early for. So that is the plan for today. For the rest of the week, we have a bit of a mixed week, to be honest. So tomorrow and Wednesday, I'm working from home, so you'll just see me sat at my desk all day working, taking care of the bigger tasks for the week so that they are sorted. And then on Thursday, me and Richard are off to Birmingham to meet with a client, a couple of people from a client of ours, at a trade show that's happening in Birmingham on Thursday. So we're going to have a little sit down with that client and then also go along to some of the seminars as part of this trade show, just to keep our ear to the ground of what's happening in that industry. I'm not really sure what Friday's going to look like yet. It'll probably be fairly busy just because there would be 2 full days where I'm not really working this week, that being today and Thursday. And then Saturday, my plan is to do absolutely nothing. I'll probably wake up early to do another park run, but other than that, I really don't want to do anything. I haven't stopped in so many weeks for a day at all. Like, I haven't really had a weekend in about a month, and next week is just as busy. Next weekend, I've got a couple of gigs and lots of travel, that's busy. So this Saturday, I really, really want to be able to do absolutely nothing. So that's what I'm thinking about this week. I am gonna carry on driving to Milton Keynes. I will let you know how I get on in the Apple store. I'll try and show you if I do any work from somewhere random between now and the meeting. Then I'll be in the meeting and I'll probably catch up with you properly at some point later this afternoon or this evening to let you know how it went. So the time is 2:20. I have just been to Apple and dropped off my phone, had some food, replied to a couple of emails on the slowest, worst Wi-Fi you can imagine, because of course I don't have my phone to connect to my hotspot that I'd normally do whilst working out and about. Now I'm back in the car trying to use the built-in sat-nav to get me to this meeting. Now it says it works. It says I'll get there at 14:32 if I were to leave now, so in 10 minutes time. I have no idea how this works, but I assume this is going to be okay. This car's only 3 years old, so at worst, this map is 3 years out of date. At worst, this dodgy built-in system is only 3 years old. I think that's the last update for a while now. I'm going to go to this meeting, get food, sort a few bits with Richard on our laptops this evening, and then I'll probably catch up with you later on tonight when I'm on my drive back home, so I'll see you then. So it is many hours after when we last spoke. I am in the car. I've just popped out to be honest, I popped out to get the camera because I realised that I needed to film something to wrap up Monday because I haven't really filmed a lot today cause travel and meetings, and then I popped to McDonald's to get a hot chocolate because why not? Since we last spoke, there was the meeting which went really well. It was really useful to sit down with that client and cover off what we needed to cover off. Lots going on with that project, very exciting. Then grabbed food with Richard, and then during rush hour I drove back from Milton Keynes, which was just miserable at this time of year with like the traffic and the darkness and the cold and everything. It was just one of those boring, slow, but having to constantly focus because there's so much traffic everywhere drives. And then when I got home, I have literally just sat on my bed for the past 4.5 hours doing nothing. I feel like after the very active week last week, plus the back-to-back activities and work and stuff over the weekend, I just needed a few hours tonight to do nothing, and so that's what I did. And now I am in the car recording this just because I needed to. This is the sole purpose of me being in the car right now. I just needed to wrap this up. I am going to go home and go to bed, and then tomorrow, which I've just planned, is a very long day. There's lots that I need to get done tomorrow and Wednesday because of the travel this week. So tomorrow will be a predominantly desk-based day. I want to try and get a 60-minute run in tomorrow evening, and then tomorrow night, the plan at least, is to jump in the car, drive somewhere and do that life admin with the laptop in the car like I spoke about this morning. So that is tomorrow's plan, and I will catch up with you at some point tomorrow. Tuesday, the time has just gone 12:30 and I'm just popping out to get some food because, to be really honest, I can't be bothered cooking and there's nothing particularly healthy in the house, so I thought I'd just pop out and grab something. I have been working from bed all day because when you're working from home, why not, right? I have no calls, no meetings today, but a lot to get done. So I woke up this morning and I was all cozy and nice and the heating was on, so I figured I would just grab my laptop and work through all of the smaller tasks for today. So 6 or 7 different smaller things that needed my attention. I just sat in bed and got it all done. And it was nice, but now I'm out of bed, gonna get some food, get back home, and then actually sit at my desk and work on the 2 far bigger blocks of work that I need to deal with before the end of today. All sorts going on here. All sorts. And to be honest, that is essentially the plan for the rest of today: to get some food, go home, do a few hours worth of work on 2 bigger tasks, and then early this evening go out for a 1-hour easy run, and then after that go and do the life admin bits that I spoke about last night. So I will catch up with you at some point soon, but just before I go, looking at the camera over there's a tiny little screen, so I'm not sure if what I'm saying is true. It looks a little bit like my head is chopped off the top, so if it is, apologies. If it's not, happy days. So anyway, I'm gonna go get some food, do some work, and I'll catch up with you a little bit later on.
Most of the work went easy, never had a bring and I done it on my jacks. Them boy there talking smack, everybody wanna talk but ain't talking facts. D9 just called on my phone like, Jay, how you stacking up all these bands? And I told him I live to invest, like I say with my chest, that's part of the plan. Sip on my drink in a penthouse with a bad B, I ain't hearing haters. With them chicks, them know that I'm dangerous, 6'4" like I play for the Lakers. J1 cool down cause you're blazing. Everybody wanna take shots at me, carry on cause I'm feeling famous.
Time is 10:30 and I'm sat in a car park in the car to do my life admin like I spoke about yesterday, I forget when I told you. So when I had the electric car a few years back, I used to love just sitting and charging it with my little laptop and planning things or sending emails or doing admin, just these little tasks in the car away from where I actually work, away from any distractions at night time with a hot chocolate or something. And it occurred to me the other day that now that I don't have an electric car, I never do this, but I miss the act of doing this, and I miss how much focused stuff I can get done when in the car like this. So finished up what I needed to today, then went for my run. It was like 50 minutes in the end, and it was difficult. It was not the fastest pace ever, probably like a 5 out of 10 effort-wise, but the route that I used to do in the summer at that time of night, at this time of year, is very, very dark. So like having my torch on my phone, trying to see where I'm going, trying to not fall into endless like potholes and cracks and everything, just made it that bit harder. But I'm glad I got it done. Then I had dinner and now I've just pulled up here. I'm gonna stay here for probably like 2 hours, so I won't get home till 1. But I'm not gonna plan tomorrow to begin until about 10 a.m. and then I'll just work through until I need to. So yeah, I'm excited to get done some planning around how I can reinstantiate habits into my day, plan my day in a slightly more optimal way, and just get back some of that curiosity and that room for maneuver that I feel like I had a few years ago that made lots of different areas of life that bit better that I have since lost because busy. So tonight is more about trying to plan time and manage energy than it is about trying to manage time. I always remember this time last year when I recorded my podcast with Paul Mort. He explained the idea that you can't manage time, right? Time passes at a consistent, never-ending rate. You can't manage that, but you can manage your energy. And to manage my energy, I think is a question of planning time, right? So by that I mean, is it best that I get straight out of bed and begin working, or should I incorporate something that wakes me up more so that by the time I begin working I'm more focused? Do I go for my runs in the morning? Do I go to the gym in the morning or the evening? When do I do my admin blocks? Do I do difficult tasks first? Do I do them last? How do I find time to do email outreach to guests? When do I record the podcast to make sure that it's consistent? So all of these questions and more plan to be answered tonight in this car park over the next few hours on my little laptop. I feel very exposed here because I'm in the very center of a retail car park that I hope I won't get a fine from, but nonetheless, so long as I'm not attacked in my car, because I have no idea what this area is like. This is not where I'd normally park. It's just the only place I could find that didn't have like barriers to close it or ANPR cameras that wouldn't let me in. So anyway, I'm gonna go and get on with this life admin stuff, drink my hot chocolate, have my heated seat on, put some music on, make sure my doors remain locked. And at this point I'll probably catch up with you tomorrow unless anything interesting happens between now and then.
Fucking up all these feelings, calm, heartless, blow back, then I cut. Ayy, Bethany came with a chicken that wasn't seasoned, so I told her to cut. But the back looked big from a distance when she walked off, so I told her stop. Tit ting with the breast look gorgeous, baby. Buck off your back, get turned. Ayy, swear down life is a movie. I can never give sex to a groupie. Went up Radford quickly just to make a swift bang girl with Cooley. Come a long way from Southgate, now I'm out here trying to make that smoothie. I was out there with a bad bee, she a bad bee, but she drives man loony.
It's Thursday morning, the time is 10:30 and I am in the car on the way to Birmingham. I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm up to today in a minute, but first, I didn't record yesterday, and that's because for the majority of the day I was literally just sat working from home in my bedroom at my desk, not doing anything. But then I did a few things last night which relate to the sit down in the car which I had on Tuesday when I was planning my life. So let me bring you up to speed by telling you a bit more about what I figured out on Tuesday and then what I did yesterday, and then I'll tell you what I'm doing today. By the way, the A14 right now is absolutely rammed and nobody can drive and everybody's in the outside lane for no reason, so there we go. So Tuesday night, as you know, I sat down in the car and I had a list of questions which essentially probed at how can I get my routine and my habits closer today to where they were in 2020 and 2021 when they were very good. And these were questions around like a consistent sleep and wake time and different habits and a bunch of stuff that I won't bore you with, but essentially lots of the answers I came up with came down to consistency, right? Everything having a time in the calendar every single week so that my weeks are routine and regimented as much as they can be, in amongst all of the work stuff that I can't anticipate and in amongst all of the travel stuff that I can't anticipate. It was around things like, for example, the sleep and wake time. How do I actually have a consistent sleep and wake time? Well, it's probably far less to do with saying, right, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. because I want to wake up at 6 a.m. and far more to do with working backwards from the point when I would routinely wake up if I didn't have an alarm, if I didn't need to be up for anything. So for me, that's around 8 a.m., right? If I needed to comfortably wake up every day without an alarm, because in theory that's when my body and my circadian rhythm is most likely to wake up, it'd probably be around 8 a.m. So putting that in the calendar as a wake up time, planning my bedtime backwards from there, planning my caffeine cut-off time backwards from there, planning the time I finish whatever the last activity of the day is backwards from there, and then in amongst all those gaps, when I've worked backwards from the wake-up time and the bedtime, putting in things like time for the podcast, time for editing the vlog, time for patter sales stuff that can so often and so easily get pushed out, so that all of the things that I want to get done in any given week to make it a success, to make sure that I'm moving towards my wider goals and not just living off of my to-do list, all of those things are in the calendar by default. So that's a lot of what I was doing yesterday. But then if I probe a level deeper than that, lots of the kind of disorganization that I sometimes feel in my life comes from my living and my working environments, and that's in no small part because I split my life between Northamptonshire and Wales, and so in lots of ways I live out of a suitcase and I live out of the boot of my car because there's nowhere that is like permanently full-time home. And so, for example, I was looking at my bedroom back home last night and I realised that it wasn't necessarily a mess in the traditional sense, right? It's not like there was stuff thrown everywhere, but it wasn't just very considered. It's not like everything had a place. Since I moved into that house in like August last year, everything just kind of lived where I put it when I happened to move in. So like the bed was in a certain place, the desk was in a certain place, storage was in a certain place, and I couldn't help but feel when I was planning the other day that something I need to do is make my living spaces more intentional and align more closely with how I want to wake up and how I want to go to bed and the environment I want to work in and all of these things. And so out of nowhere last night, having worked all day, I had this sudden activation energy to stand up and completely rework my room. So moved everything, binned a bunch of stuff, made it way more considered, way more ergonomic, and actually just way nicer. And so that's what I did last night. And then ironically, I had the absolute worst night's sleep ever. I think that was more to do with aching from the run the other night. But that is what I've been up to over the past day and a half since we last caught up. Today, as you know, I'm on my way to Birmingham. Now, we were going to be meeting a couple of clients at a trade show which relates to their industry, and they were going to sit with us and we're going to watch some talks and just kind of get a pulse of their industry. Now, this particular industry, we have two clients who operate within this industry, and so although the client we were going to be meeting can't make it today, I'm still going to make my way over to Birmingham and catch a few of the talks that seem particularly relevant to the clients that we work with. A, because it's a good thing to do, right? Just because the client can't make it, why would we suddenly not go? But B, because I do think it would be genuinely useful. So I'm just on my way to Birmingham now. I'm going to meet Richard there. We're going to watch a few seminars. I'm going to crack on with a bit of work on my laptop. And then this evening I am meeting Will, who you probably know from the podcast as Will from China. Should be on my way back home by around 8:30 this evening. So that is the plan. I'll show you what I can. I'll bring you along and I will catch up with you a little bit later on. Still in Birmingham, back in the car. Didn't film anything from the trade show because what is there to show you? There's some stands and there's some talks, but spent a few hours there, did what we needed to do, and then I grabbed my laptop and finished a few tasks that needed to be dealt with today. Filming on the phone, by the way, because the camera's in my boot, couldn't think of the word there. So I'm just waiting for Will to turn up. But before I did, I'm sat here, right, and this might be caffeine talking, but this is the second time in a week that I've had this thought, so I thought I'd share it. And the first time I was explaining to Pat, who last week you would have seen I met with on Sunday, and we were just talking about life for hours, and this subject came up, and it's a thought that I've had a few times and I've tried to articulate, and the exact same thought just happened. So I'm sat here waiting for Will. It's really cold outside now. It's like mid-November. I'm not sure when this episode comes out. It's like mid-November. It's really cold. And I'm sat listening to, I think it's called Everglow by Coldplay comes on, right? And I'm sat here and the lights are getting dark over there, and I'm drinking this caffeine, and I got my heated seat on, and I'm screaming along in my car, surrounded by other cars, to this song whilst I wait. And there's just something magical about this concept that I heard explained on TikTok, and I didn't have words for it until then, called romanticizing life, right? And the conversation I had with Pat the other day is, if you take the extremities out of this, right, I can't speak to people who are depressed or have anxiety or any of these things, but for the vast majority of the population, I think there's so much magic and so much happiness to be unlocked by just romanticizing life. And the examples I always come to when I speak about this is just the most basic little things that happen during your day, and noticing them and just feeling fortunate for them, right? So like the tree over there, which is shedding its brown leaves and they're just flying through the air, that looks really cool. When I walk through St Pancras and there's a random stranger playing the piano and it's like a nice Ludovico Einaudi song, for example, that's just nice. When you're sat in the car on your own drinking caffeine and screaming along to a song that you didn't know until a few months ago, and you just realize and capture in the moment that you're alive and you're living and this feels nice. I think, and by the way, I don't pretend that this is my idea, I'm sure that people who are far more enlightened than me can articulate this far better, but I think that like 90% of my happiness predictably and reliably comes from these tiny moments, and most of the happiness in these moments comes from just realizing that in this moment, this insignificant moment, you're happy and it's enjoyable. And I think you only really get the chance to do that if you give yourself permission to, particularly in the UK, where we're all so pessimistic and cynical about everything, where it's like, oh, it's tacky to be happy, or you need to pretend to have a stiff up. Like, I just think there's a lot to be said about deciding in insignificant moments that feel a little bit special to just embrace it and be okay with that, right? I talk about it a lot privately. I thought I'd put it in the vlog just to see if anybody else is on board with this idea. TikTok called it romanticizing life, and that's the best phrase I've heard for it so far. It's this thing that I've tried to do for years, but ever since I had words for it a few months ago, I've really tried to embrace it, and I find myself speaking about this more and more often. And probably over dinner tonight I'll speak about it again. But good vibes right now. Heated seat, music, caffeine, sun setting, planes taking off overhead from Birmingham airport. Feeling good vibes, romanticizing life. I will catch up with you a little bit later on the drive home, and then tell you what I have planned for tomorrow. So it's Friday morning, I'm in the house, I'm just about to get some work done for a few hours. I didn't film when I got back to the car last night, but the catch up with Will was great. It was another one of those open-ended, hours-long, undistracted conversations, just like the one I told you about with Pat last week. I really live for conversations like that. They're just amazing, and I feel like when you catch up with somebody and have one of those really long, open-ended conversations, you learn so much about yourself and about the other person. So that was really great. Drove back, went straight to bed last night, had a very long sleep. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling awake. I've got a few hours worth of work that I need to crack on with now, and then tonight I may possibly be going back to Birmingham to see the streets if I can get a cheap resale ticket. You know the drill by now. If I can get a cheap ticket, I'll go. If I can't, I won't, because I'm not that bothered. I saw them a few months ago. But that is the plan. And if I don't go to Birmingham, I'm going to spend tonight editing this week's vlog, because I haven't began yet and it's Friday. So that is the plan. Going to go and crack on with some work. I'll show you what I can, and then I'll catch up with you at some point later on to let you know whether I'm going to Birmingham or whether I'm staying here to edit the vlog.
Feel it, bun it, dash it, it's a madness when I step in the place. And nobody wanna put work in, but these dumb pricks want a piece of the cake. I pull up like nothing ain't friendly, bro, send me that key to the safe. I want it all and I want it now. I ball so hard like I'm E to the A. How many times did I drip, bro, fuck about and get licked? One bang to the face, I'm this close, play with me and get hit. Feet come take it like Isco, on the field I do bits. Like how you gonna DM my bitch, bro, must be taking a piss.
So it's 7:30, I'm in Birmingham. I got a ticket to see the streets tonight, and then it turns out that Joy Anonymous, who have supported Fred again a couple of times, are the support act. So I tried to get here as early as possible. Also, plot twist, Mike Skinner and Joy Anonymous are doing a after party tonight in Birmingham, right near the train station. So I'm very tempted to buy a ticket to that as well, and then just stay until like 10 minutes before the last train back to Birmingham International, which is where I'm parked, and go there. I'll keep you up to date, I'll bring you with me. I'll try and film some bits, because I'm really bad at this. I've realised that I say I'll film some bits and then never do, but that is the plan. I'll show you what I can, and I'll catch up with you later on when I'm in Birmingham.
You think I care, and I'm very easy. What are the chances of that night? The comes to me once in a while. There was something that's moving, maybe inside the one too. He is older and wiser. The fires are burning on fire. Never tired, slay warriors in the forest and on high.
Okay, update, back at the car park. The time is 4 minutes to 3 in the morning. Later than I planned. I went to the gig and then I went to the after party, which was good. It was alright, it was fun. It's very small, very intimate. And then got an Uber back from the city to the train station. Just paid a disastrous amount for the parking. And now I'm going to drive home. I should be in bed by 4 a.m. If I'm doing this park run tomorrow, which I'll be really honest, I'm 50-50 as to whether I am or not, but if I am doing this park run tomorrow, I need to be up for 20 past 8, really, at the latest, probably closer to like 8. So there's that. But tonight was fun, it was worth it. It's a very cheap night when you don't drink. I paid for like 3 Cokes and 2 waters, which came to a total of like £13 maybe. So yeah, decent, tired, gonna drive home, and I'll let you know tomorrow if and how the park run goes and what I get up to, because I need to finish editing the vlog. And then for the rest of tomorrow, I'm just gonna chill. I'm not doing any work, I'm not doing anything, I'm not going anywhere. And then Sunday is a busy day. So I'll probably catch up with you at some point tomorrow. Evening is Sunday, it's 11 p.m. at night. I didn't film this weekend, but I've just got back to Wales and I realised that before I go in the house and sleep, I need to film something to wrap up the vlog. Firstly, look at my hair. I've just washed it before I left the house and not put anything in it. And because I haven't had a haircut in like 6 or 7 weeks, it's very long and it's just kind of turned into a mix between Justin Bieber and me in 2012, which is funny. I'm gonna get my haircut this week, so this will be going. However, I didn't do a lot this weekend, so I think the last time we spoke was like 3 a.m. at Birmingham International Station on Friday night. Friday was really, really cool. It was just a fun night. I'm glad I did it, but I didn't get home until about 4 a.m. I didn't get to sleep until about 5:30. I woke up at 7:30 to text Chloe to say I'm sorry, but it's not sensible for me to do the park run on 2 hours sleep, so I didn't do that. Then I did nothing all day Saturday, edited the vlog because it needs to come out right, but didn't do anything else all day Saturday. And then today, stayed in bed until just before midday, made some breakfast, had a bath. What else did I do? That's about it. Then put some curtains up for my mum, went for food with my mum, packed my bag and drove to Wales. So this has been the weekend off that I've been wanting for weeks. I really hardly touched my laptop, if you ignore the vlog, which doesn't count because it's not exactly intense work. I think that is everything for this week. Still haven't showed you this success criteria document, have I? It's like a running joke at this point that I talk about it but never show it to you. I'll show it to you at some point, maybe next week. Don't know what else to tell you because this week's been busy and different and unusual, and I have no idea how this will turn out as an edited vlog because I have been here, there and everywhere and haven't filmed lots of work but have filmed lots of travel and talking and la la la. You'll know by now because you would have seen the episode that's just been. I just don't know how I'm going to edit it, but that is a problem for another day. Today's problem, today's challenge is trying to be asleep within the next 50 minutes because I want to get up at 8 tomorrow and I want to follow this really considered day plan structure that I worked on Tuesday, was it? The night when I was in the car on my laptop. I basically made like the ideal perfect day in my calendar, which starts with a wake time, which is really logical. I think I may have explained this, but either way, like for this to all work, I need to be in bed like now and I need to be asleep very soon. So that is the final challenge of the week. Thank you as always for watching. As I always say, particularly if you got to the recorded on the phone end of day Sunday video shot, this one here, I appreciate you because as always, these videos are long. As always, I'm not sure if they're interesting. Let me know if they are. I mean, it's just my life. It's just little bits of my life strung together, so it doesn't feel interesting to me. It just feels like a mix between a chore and a passion project, which is a great way to summarize all of the content I make. However, that is everything for this week. This is me trying to say thank you for watching. So thank you for watching. I'm going to go to bed and I will see you next week.